So this is going to sound pedantic, but I don't like to use the term attack surface because while the surface that's exposed is growing, an attack is something you want to avoid. And the growing surface is something we have to deal with. I usually talk about it as a vulnerability surface. It is the reality of digital transformation. An attack sounds like it's something you would like to see go away. And clearly, this is something that is a risk that we have to manage. So I tend to call it a vulnerability surface rather than attack surface. So with that clarification aside, how does the government manage its growing attack surface? Again, I spent 34 years in government, most of it as a senior executive managing big programs at the whole of government level. The federal government tends to lag the private sector in cyber technology, cybersecurity capabilities by 3 to 5 years, just because of the way the budgeting process it works. You know, the procurement process, the appropriations process, the contracting process. So they're always going to be behind the curve. So let's make lemonade out of those lemons. There are lessons you can learn from the private sector in terms of how you manage that growing vulnerability surface. And the one I would start with is to say, don't look at it and say, vulnerability or attack capability, go off and build and buy another solution. Because rinse and repeat that a number of times, and then depending on whose numbers you believe, you've got between 30 and 75 cybersecurity solutions out there addressing parts of this growing surface. They may or may not be working, but the one thing I can almost guarantee you is they're not interoperable, they're not automated, and they're not playing well together. So you're just making the strain more severe on your people. So the way you have to manage it is learn from the private sector and try to find ways of saying, I see what's worked for you. I am going to have to try to find solutions that are going to scale. And ideally, I want to take advantage of things like solution consolidation, device consolidation, and interoperability so that in solving today's problem, I don't make tomorrow's problem worse because I now have 5 things to maintain and provision instead of 1.